Good Monday morning, everybody. It's Nick back here with NaytonTech's weekly tech news. Every Monday morning, I release tech news from last week. I pick 5 or 6 articles that piqued my interest, that I was interested in, and kind of give you a brief, quick overview of them. First off, Nintendo has been getting some complaints about their new Nintendo Switch. People have been complaining about dead pixels on the screen, the LCD screen. They've also been complaining about the screen getting scratched extremely easy. It is made of plastic. And they've also been complaining about the dock, when you slide the Nintendo Switch in, that it's been scratching the unit. Nintendo did comment on the dead pixels, and they said, as a quote, "These are normal characteristics of an LCD screens and should not be considered a defect." This may have been true in original LCDs, but it should be pretty rare nowadays with LCDs being so old. You should not see dead pixels. They've also recommended for people not to use their Switch near aquariums, wireless devices, microwaves, cordless phones, etc., because it can affect the screen performance, Wi-Fi, and connectivity of the Wi-Fi remotes. So, a little bit of a struggle this first week or so. Nintendo Switch has been out. They've been getting all sorts of weird issues with it and complaints. On a positive note, though, a lot of people have been loving the new Zelda game, and also the Switch is also region free for games, so that means that you can play games from pretty much any region around the world, something that isn't usually available in a lot of console games. Usually they're region locked, so you can only play games for your region. US games for US consoles, Japanese games for Japanese consoles. So one plus, a couple pluses there. Windows 10 has been making some updates or changes to their update policy for the better. Right now, Windows Update will pretty much update your system whenever it feels like it. You click restart and it wants to do all of its updates. Some can take upwards half an hour to an hour. There have been enough complaints about this that Windows or Microsoft is going to be changing their policy on it. So what they're doing is they're now going to give you a prompt when you restart the machine, or when a critical update needs to be applied. You can restart and install it. You can snooze, or let's see, what was the last one? Or you can set a time to do it automatically. You can pick a time to do it later. The snooze is indefinite. First time for the first 35 days, you can push it out 3 days. Each time you hit snooze, it'll push out 3 days. After that, after 35 days, it will go to 1 day. It'll remind you every day to do the update. So, but you can push it out indefinitely if you want to keep that reminder coming up all the time. So, positive news there. Should help out a lot of people from getting interrupted in things they're working on. Google Hangouts is going to be changing. At least part of it is going to be moving over to a business communication tool, kind of like Skype and Slack. They're going to be focusing more on, well, you're still going to have the one-on-one chat, your group chat, conferences, things like that, but it's going to be focused more towards business. Still will work on the web, still going to work for Android and iOS devices, but they're going to be including Google Docs and Google Sheets integration, as well as working on Gmail and Google Calendar integration, so you can invite people a little bit easier and join the Hangouts or the group chats much easier, especially for the business side of things when you have a bunch of people you want to invite. I'm just hoping they don't change. I use Google Hangouts on a daily basis. I use it for all of my chat and text messaging, so I'm hoping that they don't change that too much, or if they do, they get Google Allo into gear so that it has a lot of the same features that Hangouts uses, that it has right now that I use. I have heard that it's not going to be changing too much, at least in the time being, so positive for me. Nest is getting ready to release a couple new devices sometime here in the next year. One of the main ones is their Nest thermostat. They're actually coming out with a new version. It's supposed to be cheaper than the current one. The current one is $250. This one is said to release for under $200. So a lot of us have been waiting for it to come down in price. Big plus. They say they're going to be making it out of some different materials. The current one has a metal frame and metal components, so they're going to be getting rid of that and possibly going with some type of either plastic or composite components to make the production cheaper. They're also looking at, they're said to have devices that are in the works, a new alarm system, so a smart alarm system, smart doorbell, and a new indoor security camera are in the works. They don't have a release date yet, so don't get too excited. It's possibly not be released until next year, 2018. Last we have AMD's Ryzen chips. They are out, as we talked about last week. None of the 4 cores are out yet. The only ones that are out are the 8 cores. So a company called Zolcorn, I hope I pronounced that correctly, some folks over there took one of the 1800X chips. They disabled 4 of its cores, 8 of its threads, and 8 megabytes of its L3 cache, which basically reduces it down to a 4-core chip. It's kind of the same specs that the 4-core chips, I think it was either the 15 or the 1600, are supposed to release with. And then they compared it to the i7-7700K Intel chip. Most of the benchmarks are actually really, really close. They had actually quite a few of them that I looked through. A lot of them are within points of each other. So very, very comparable to the i7-7700. Now the advantage that this has, a lot of people are going to be excited about, the i7-7700 still retails for like the 330 range, and the 5-core, the Ryzen 5, which is their 4-core chips, are supposed to be releasing for the $200 range. So what that means is you're getting roughly 85% of the performance for about 60% of the price of a 7700K. So for those that are wanting a little more of a budget build for about the same performance, this is a big plus. Well, that's it for this week's Weekly Tech News. Check back next week for 5 or 6 more articles that piqued my interest. Also, don't forget to check out our video studio vlog. We've got 2 episodes so far. I'm going to have 3 or 4 more. I've got some painting and some more shelves and stuff I'm going to be putting in. I'll be doing some time lapse and stuff in those and talking about what we're doing. I'll also be starting the Plex server build this week. This initial time lapse for that one of me putting the machine together, the hardware. And after that, we'll be doing some software and configuration and benchmark stuff. So don't forget to check back for those. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Visit us on the web at NaytonTech.wordpress.com, on Twitter at NaytonTech, Facebook, Instagram, and Google+.